Guys, I'm gonna go get a metal folding chair. I'll leave it to Quade and Mama.
Hello, this is Mama, and I'm glad to talk to you after all this time. But I haven't been feeling my best, and things go wrong. But I thank God for everything that is good. Now I'd like to introduce you to my nephew Quade.
Howdy, folks.
Is that all you're gonna say?
Yep, for now.
Just like I was when I first started this. You know, things can be awful tiring sometimes. But I'll tell you another thing. Love your friends. Love your neighbors. Love your family. But always, always love God. Thank you.
So, when Son Era gets back out here, we're gonna have a random thoughts about keyboard warriors today, just to kind of get that going, because we have a bit of a bullying problem with my cousin here, and we were going to discuss that. Stay tuned. Give her to you.
What's up? How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We're trying to set up this here system here. Why, hello. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Gonna set up a little system here. This all wasn't thought out. None of this was thought out thoroughly, but it's just pure randomness. Nothing that you wouldn't expect. Like my shirt. It's a cool shirt. Mama, let me wear it. Gotta get a chair.
I got a chair out there on the porch.
That thing's cold.
Yeah, it's like -9 degrees out there tonight.
It's like talk about freezing your clothes.
Not -9, but it's down in the negatives. It's gonna get down to -2 tonight, so gotta stay warm.
Tell them not to forget to let their closet strip. And
Yeah, for you folks out there that are out and that got cold weather where you're at, don't forget to keep up on that water. Don't want it to freeze up on you. It's a heck of a time to be without water this time of year.
and open
Very
your
common.
sinks.
Yeah.
Open your sink doors.
Well, folks, so as a lot of you guys know, Rob is highly dyslexic, and people are picking on him about that. And you got certain bullies, and I'm going to name you out. Barry Cates. It is not right for you to treat him like that and then attack me for sticking up for my family. I do not appreciate that, buddy. I hope you see this. Stuff like that right there is actually a federal crime for cyberbullying. I know people in the FBI task force. They will tell you the same thing. It is illegal, regardless of whether it is in person or not, because it is still people go to self-harm over stuff like that. That's why you have suicide issues nowadays, because people like you want to be a keyboard warrior and antagonize somebody over dumb stuff, and then when somebody tries to step in and then stick up for their family or their friends, you can't just do that. I don't get the point in it. What do you get out of terrorizing this man because you don't like him, or you don't like him talking to us, to who to, you know what I'm getting at. You know what I'm talking about. No, you don't do that. Not You want to sell something, don't do it on Facebook, or don't do it on Facebook, don't do it on YouTube, don't do it on Snapchat. Do it in person. Grow a pair of cojones.
Amen to that, brother.
Hallelujah.
I'll say this, though. My dear sweet friend, you have a great, wonderful heart. Love you to pieces. And I don't really care what anybody says about me, but and anything else, I'm a good, kind-hearted person. A lot of people know that. A lot of people that know me personally will tell you the same thing. I mean, to be honest with you, someone could be pissing in the wind and telling me it's raining, and I'll try to forgive them as much as I possibly can. But in part of the language, folks, just to give you fair warning, there might be a bit of a some language might be a little curvy in this video. So if you got children that might be watching this, you might want to just skip this video, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
with you.
parental guidance.
Because it's right, you know, when it comes to cyberbullying. I mean, what's crazy is I was watching another channel that I follow, and this guy, was talking about, the whole no-fap thing and how that's and I agree 100% with him about this whole no-fap crap stuff. And I really don't know much about it, but from what I know about it, I don't care for it at all. And I'll never be a no-fap guy. I ain't gonna give up something that's normal for a man to do, just to prove that I'm something that I'm not. But along with this little video of this channel that I was watching and following, as which I'm gonna tell you the channel because I admire this guy, and it's the Gray Bailey channel. He's an alright guy, but something he was talking about even on his channel, was about how bullying and everything was just so freaking out there that even this girl on Facebook Live even broadcasted live her own suicide because on account of idiots that want to bully, on account of idiots that want to be little keyboard warriors, wimps hiding behind a keyboard. And, if you're going to talk smack, do it to someone's face. Or have the common sense that God gave a mule to know how to just keep your mouth shut if you ain't got nothing nice to say and go about your business and just know God made everybody different. And just because you can't accept it, don't mean you gotta be forcing it on everyone else by running your mouth or twinkling your little fingers on a keyboard like you're some Billy badass. I mean, I put up with bullying all through high school, all through my, ever since I can remember back in school even. I was made fun of, called this, called that. In some cases I learned how to dish it right back to them, but, I learned and I found the best way is to ignore it and go on, But, another thing is, it's something that I really totally believe. The best way to deal with a bully is not only to confront that person, but also, and if I have children, this is how I'm going to tell them. If they're dealing with a bully, or if your children are dealing with a bully, drop your guard just for 1 second and tell your child to knock that sucker right in the jaw. Just one good time, one good pop in the jaw, and two things are going to happen. One, they're going to force that bully to respect them. Second, he ain't going to have no more trouble. Now, you do have cases where it's that person's child that is being the bully. And that's a whole nother ballpark. I ain't no parent, but this man is. And, I'm sure he probably could tell you from his own point of views what he thinks about that. But, there are the rare cases where you're the parent that's doing everything you can, and yet your child ends up being that kid. And the only thing I can say is from that point of view of an uneducated thought is you better teach them how to take an ass whooping.
I just got to thinking about this with him talking about that. If you've ever seen the movie American Sniper, there's one scene in there that I absolutely love, and that's where the father sets Chris Kyle and his brother down after a fight with a school bully where Chris Kyle knocked the crap out of the other kid. Dad set him down. There are 3 types of people in the world. There's sheep, sheepdog, and a wolf. I don't put up with a wolf. I'm the sheepdog that protects the sheep. That's my calling. That's why I have my warrior feather.
Oh. And, people that's followed my channel knows that my channel's full of randomness. And that if I believe in something wholeheartedly, I'm going to speak about it. Now, I try to refrain, from being foul-mouthed. I try to keep it kind of PG-13, and everything, because I want to run a channel that parents could be proud to let their children watch, without having any questioning or anything, and whenever I'm doing anything that's YTPC related, I normally, if I can remember to think about it, we don't, I don't encourage or condone anything that's underage, and everything when it comes to tobacco or anything else, and this is 2018, folks, and sometimes I hate to say this. Sometimes, well, I don't hate to say it. It's just aggravating that I would even have to stop and think about this. But I think people need to stop being a little bit more politically correct and be a little bit more common sense wise and a little bit less book smart, but yet have a little street sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not knocking by this book smart. I wish I was really book smart to a certain degree. I mean,
yeah,
it would pay a lot.
I mean,
I wouldn't be working at Walmart.
Literally, that's how it's classified. There's really two types of people. There's book smart and street smart. I mean, you can be book smart and be a millionaire. You can be street smart and know how to make a living, but not make the money you want to make.
And you can be so stupid you're intelligent, and you be so smart that you're stupid.
Exactly.
And how you end up with those two is either you're too much book smart and not enough street smart, or not enough street smart. Not, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Y'all get the point.
You're so book smart, you don't even know anything about street smarts.
Yeah. And then if you have equal amounts of both, they call you a successful human being or a successful person in the world. And, something that really gets me, too, about, what it really gets me is a lot of the people that I've seen and have noticed that have been bullies, that have picked on people, that have, especially your, what do you call it again with the keyboard thing?
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, especially people that are keyboard warriors, is some of these people are what I would classify to be intellectuals.
Well, see, also another thing on a keyboard warrior, there's somebody that's going to bully somebody through a computer screen and a keyboard because they don't have language here. They don't have the balls or the ass to get up and do it themselves.
And the thing of it is these people that I see, I mean, I just assume everybody that, always tags on my spelling and everything. I mean, I've overlooked it, and everything, but, I see what these people look like sometimes if they have a picture. I'm like, this person looks like they're an intellectual. They look like they're college educated. What are they doing picking on somebody that has trouble spelling or anything? But yet they're intelligent enough to be able to understand what the message is saying. But yet they have to pinpoint every little thing like that. I mean, get real, people.
Grammar Nazis. Keyboard warrior grammar Nazis. All they get off on bullying, but we're going to give it to... Thank you. I'm glad you like the points that some of the points we've made. We're gonna give it to Mama here to let her tell a story real quick.
When I was in school a long time ago, I had this friend. Now, he had a name that I couldn't pronounce, and he told me just call him Sandy. So I called him Sandy. And one day I saw him crying at school, and he wouldn't talk to anybody. And I got him aside, and I said, Sandy, what's wrong? I said, tell me. And he said, Alice, he said, I can't take it anymore. He said, my dad's bullying me and calling me names because I don't have a girlfriend. And he said, I just can't take it anymore. And he said, and not only that, his friends are calling me names too. And it's getting down to where it's in school now. And I said, does it bother you? And he said, yes. And I said, now, you can do one or two things. You could run away from home. I said, but that wouldn't be good. You might get in worse problems. And I said, Sandy, don't do anything wrong. Don't hurt yourself over this. I said, people are stupid, some of them are. And it is stupid to bully somebody. They found him in a barn. He hung himself because he couldn't take the bullying. Would you want to see a person hanging himself, killing himself, taking pills in order to stop the bullying? Don't be so cruel, because God says those who hurt the innocent, who takes away the innocence of a child, will get repaid back. He will lose his heavenly home. Do you want to be that person? Do you want to be that person God says, I never knew you, leave, and he'll send you straight where you need to go? But I'm telling you, it's a serious problem. And I think you all just better stop and think about what you're going to say first. It's a very serious problem. And it hurts in my heart. This boy was my friend. And I was just a little kid. And I was smaller than some of the kids, but bigger than others. And I faced down bullies myself. I'm not a very smart person, but I've got common sense. And that is what people love me for. Because I don't try to make enemies. I try to make things better for others and for myself. So think before you do. And just remember, somebody's life may be in your hands. And you got the knowledge to take and forgive and forget petty things. And that's what bullies are. They're petty. And they're not even smart. And they don't deserve good friends like my Sandy was. Now, I'm going to leave it to the boys now. Listen to them, please.
Thank you, Mama.
Yep, thank you, Mom.
Sorry about the laughing. My wife kind of just walked out and noticed we were recording, and it just kind of struck me funny when she kind of just ducked down.
But, folks, I like to be silly and cut up, but I just felt pretty strong about this, and my cousin felt even stronger, especially some of the things in which this disrespectful person, now I ain't going to give him no light by saying his name, but from his perspective, I respect the way he went about it, but I look at it this way. You know who you are, we know who you are, and people like you that do these things, and all the people out there that are trolls, all the people out there that are bullies, and I even if there was to be some little schoolyard bully that runs across this video, or even my other video that's called Newsflash Troll, I just got to say, I hope those people see this, and I hope those people see more videos like this, because it's like how the same channel I talked about earlier in this video that I follow, he was talking about doing the same video, about how really we have strayed away from the original problem with all this. Now, I can't remember that quite on quote, but, even that man's video that he done like that was very inspirational to me. and then here this person, because originally this troll I'd originally blocked. Well, he made another account, another YouTube account, just so he could bully. Because he figured out if he made another account, he could bully. Well, guess what, troll? I done blocked you again because I ain't got time for that. But then when you're going to attack people that are family like that, you cross the line. And you don't do that. And what's even more sadder, as I pointed out in a previous video, the same video called Newsflash Troll. And if nobody ain't never seen it, I recommend you go back and see it. And you'll see where I come from just solo on that even. But, you just don't do that. This guy has grandchildren that has watched my channel. And my dear sweet friend's grandchildren watch this channel. That's right, talking about you. And, and she watches this channel. And everybody, that I know that I work with, that are close to me, they watch this channel. I don't pick on nobody. I don't bully nobody. If anything, I make fun of myself.
Yeah, you do.
A lot. But I do it because an old saying goes, you can't be a comedian. A good comedian or a good clown can make fun of themselves. And if you can't laugh at yourself, how can you make anybody else laugh? Now, believe it or not, you're looking at a guy that actually wanted to go to VU, Vincennes University, to go to clown college. Just so I could say, I went to college. And get myself an education. Get me a PhD in laughter.
It's not that bad because my grandma went to clown college, and one of my really good buddies is grandma. Actually, he's my cousin now. But his grandma, before she passed away, she went to clown college. So,
can you read that small writing?
If you take yourself seriously, there's no life. Exactly. You cannot take everything so seriously. Because when you're a serious person, you get that persona of an asshole per se, and nobody wants to be around you. I mean, you can't be like that. You got to be able to cut up and joke with people, because the serious people, leave that to the military. Those are the guys you want seriousness from the police. That's where your seriousness should come from. I mean, if you're just a normal citizen, you got to be able to cut up and joke. I mean, if it wasn't for that, then we wouldn't have comedians. You know what I'm saying?
There's one thing I'm going to say, though. Some cops let that badge go to their head.
They do.
I'm not knocking anybody that's law enforcement, but I'm just saying even own law enforcement, whether they say it to the public or not, know that they got young guns, or some people that just let that badge go to their head and it just sticks that way. Like a few nameless cops I do know I can name.
I mean, one of my where I work at, we actually have a guy that's a cop there, and he has that attitude of a typical hot-headed cop. So I mean, like I said, leave the seriousness to the people who really need it. I mean, quit being a keyboard warrior, quit being a bully, and
What?
Said she's laughed at herself and you when you both worked at Walmart. So Vanessa
Yep.
Johnson.
A what?
Says Vanessa Johnson.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to laugh a little, because if you're too serious your entire life, nobody's gonna want to be around you. I mean, I used to be a very serious person. I went to military school because let's put facts straight. I was a bad kid in school. I wasn't a bully. I was the kid that got bullied and then knocked some heads in, because that's what you do. You don't let somebody push you around. When they start trying to push you around and take advantage of you, you show them who's boss and knock the shit out of them. That's the only way to deal with that. I mean, I've been in plenty of fights because I've dealt with bullies my entire life.
Bullies go with gangs.
What?
Bullies go in gangs.
Yeah, bullies do go in gangs, because if they see one person that they see weaker than them, and then they honestly really know that they're just weak, so they got to have friends. Luna.
Hey Luna, what's up?
But bullies, when they feel inferior and think that they're better than somebody, that's really what it is. Is when you don't like a person because of what they do or how they go about things or who they're friends with. Said hi.
Hey, thanks for joining. Please hit like, share, and subscribe.
But seriously, bullying that's a big matter nowadays, because in today's society with all that political correctness, when you got the whole liberal, don't mind me saying this because I am technically a conservative because of the way I believe on things, so technically a Republican. But you got your liberal feel, you got your, because a conservative and a Republican are the same thing, and then you got your Democrat and liberal, which is pretty well the same thing. I mean, because everything's pretty well gone to a liberal democratic thing nowadays, and they believe, well, just a smack on the hand and the bully's gonna stop. It don't work like that. It does not. I mean, back in the 50s and 60s, if he was getting bullied, somebody stepped in, they knocked the shit out of that bully. That's what you got to do. You got to stand up for yourself and make grounds. I mean, he can't do nothing because, this dude, we're 3-4 hours away from this guy right now. I mean, we know where he's at. But, to make a point, I stepped in and said something because I feel that's my place. This is my family, and when you mess with my family, you get the bull. I'm the bull of the family, you know what I'm saying? So, just stop bullying. It's not even worth it. Literally, all it is a waste of time, because people do commit suicide over stuff like that. I've seen so many people get bullied that actually wanted to literally commit suicide over stuff like that. I mean,
I'm technologically impaired.
Okay.
I am paying attention. I don't mean to be rude. It's just trying to do a favor to somebody.
But yeah, bullying really gets you nowhere other than somebody offing themselves because you think it's funny. I mean, like I was saying, back in the 50s and 60s, you knocked the shit out of the bully. I mean, just because somebody's small or you feel like they're smaller than you doesn't really give you the right to push them around. I mean, that's pretty well what this guy was doing to him, pushing him around, and I ain't gonna stand for that, And then when I said something, he jumped onto my page and started commenting on my video because I felt like I needed to say something, and then was talking shit about my video because I used to chew, and I did a half can of chew video. I mean, you can look it up. It's under Cade Lash with a K.
He stuffs that worm dirt in his lip.
Did a half can of Copenhagen, and then he was on there. He's like, so when's the last time somebody smacked that Copenhagen out of your mouth? Literally nobody, because nobody's had the balls other than one person. One person. That's my absolute best friend, and it's just not right, to just pick a fight over something because somebody stood up to you. I mean, that's what you need. And honestly, you're 50-some years old, and you're going to sit there and try to bully a 30-year-old and a 23-year-old. It ain't going to work. I'm 23 years old with 3 kids. I've put up with a lot of bullshit in my time. A lot. I mean, I'm super young, but I know how to handle my own, and bullying's not going to fly with me. Never. Like when my kids get older, somebody's going to bully them, I'm going to teach them to knock them right the hell in the mouth. That's how you handle it.
And I'd like to just mention another famous person out there that feels the same way, and he's a parent, a grandparent. Does anybody know who Dean Snyder is? If you don't know who Dean Snyder is, then you need to look up the band Twisted Sister and the song "We're Not Gonna Take It."
Exactly.
And that's it. We're not gonna take it. It's I have a zero toleration for bullying, and cyberbullying and keyboard warriors. But on Dean Snyder's personal vlog channel, which I don't know if the man still has it or not, but I think I'm going to see if he still does. But he has a thing on there where he talks about bullying and how he even had a little a younger friend, who was a little girl that just recently discovered his music in high school and everything, and talked about how because this little girl was bullied, she hung herself too and everything. And he was just distraught about that. And he was talking about, and this is how I got the inspiration to where if I ever have children, this is what I'm going to tell them. He told us, he said his son, in this video had a bully and everything. And he told him, well, what'd you do about it? And he said nothing. He said, well, next time he does it, he said, just pop him right in the jaw. He goes, well, I'll get in trouble. He said, yeah, you'll get in trouble in school and everything and stuff. But you know what? He said later on, afterwards, he said, I'll take you down to Toys R Us and you can get whatever game you want. Or something like that, And he said it came down to it, clocked him right in the jaw. And he said he went and got his son a toy. And he said while he was sitting in there in the principal's office, he was saying, yep, and we'll have a talk about that when we get home and blah, blah, blah. And then walked out of school with his boy, went to the Toys R Us and said, good job for standing up for yourself. But there is a thin line in between going from, keeping your kid from being a bully or from being bullied to being that bully. Now, I am, like I said, I ain't no parent, but, if it ever came down in that situation with your children, how would you as a parent, handle that,
If any of my kids ever became a bully and I found out about it, they're going to get their asses whipped. That is what it takes. It literally does. I mean, you can't just smack them on the hand and say, don't do it, because they're still going to do it. You have, as my parents always said, if you're going to, you're going to bully, you're going to get your ass whipped. It's either going to be by me or some other kid, because there's always somebody out there bigger and badder than you. Always.
And dynamite comes in small packages.
Very small packages, because I've seen kids 4 times smaller than me take guys my size. I mean, just because you think you're some Billy badass and you're a hillbilly, which apparently this guy thinks he's a hillbilly, who he wouldn't know what hillbilly was if it smacked him in the mouth. Come where I live, buddy. We'll show you what hillbilly is. But
not backwoods hillbilly.
No. We're just some down-home country boys where I come from. Show you how to work on a farm.
Yeah, hey.
But, yeah, bullying is a very sore subject, because I was bullied in school and I didn't put up with it. I'm not going to let my kids put up with it, but my kids become the bully, they're going to get what they deserve with bullying, because I don't believe in it. I really do not. I dealt with it too much as a kid. I never contemplated on suicide, because I knew in the back of my mind, they're just jealous over some petty bullshit. Because I was very open with my mom, very, very open with my mom about stuff that went on in school. And she told me, because I always said, I want to hit this kid. I'm going to hit this kid, I'm going to get into a fight eventually, because every person's got a breaking limit. Some people, you can push them around and they won't do nothing at all, because they don't have that breaking limit. Well, I had a breaking limit, and finally I snapped. And when I did, that fuse was lit. It was very short. Punched them square in the mouth, and they never messed with me again. I mean, that's what it takes.
And also, word to the bully, cyberbully, or any other type of bully and troll, whatever. Be very leery of the silent people. Because it's... Oh, what we got there?
That was her telling us that she was already subscribed. It was Luna.
Oh, okay.
That was who said hi.
Oh.
And your battery's almost dead.
No! Oh, man.
You got a power pack?
Yeah, over there. It might still have some juice in it, maybe.
Let's see.
Boy, one thing interesting about all this live stuff is you never know what's going to happen. Just like real life, real situations. You never know what the next day is going to bring. And along with that frame of mind and that thought is you want to go put your thumb up on the top and drag down.
Okay, it's charging.
Awesome possum. But anyways, you never know what life is going to bring, what type of curveball life is going to give you, and life is too short for this ignorance. Anyways, life is also too short to hold a grudge. Although I do not feel in some ways I have any right to be preaching about that because there's been a few times I've held a grudge for almost a year before I was able to forgive. Now I am generally a forgiving person. Sad thing is, sometimes I can't remember people and I can't remember names, but yet I can always remember those that have impacted my life in a negative way sometimes. And I know that's not always a good thing, and those are some of the issues I deal with. When you're a silent person, and you try not to, you don't want to ruff feathers or anything, but you do have your breaking point, like my cousin said. And I can almost sit here and name you probably a 25 to 150 name list of everybody that has either picked on me, bullied me, cyberbullied me, done me wrong in all sorts of ways, including a lot of women. But would it really matter? Would it really mean anything? No. Life's too short for the stupidity. Now, everybody makes mistakes every day, and every day that you're living, you learn something new. Just like a word, something my cousin, and I've been wanting to hit the nail on the head on this for a while now. And my cousin was talking about some things, and I kind of made, and I would never do this on air, even though in some ways I would like to see the laughs that I would get out of it, but I kind of done this little little clip skit that I done on a messenger thing, and it was called Rob American. It was me making a parody of this guy named Red Neckerson that used to be on the radio. Anybody that's ever listened to a High 99 country station, you know who Red Neckerson is, okay? His famous saying was, "Wake up, America!" Whenever he would end a thing or whatever, And anyhow, I had made this thing about liberals and conservatives, and well, my cousin jumps back at me. And even when if you're his family and he thinks you're in the wrong or he thinks you're a little ill informed about something, he's not afraid to fire back at you. Believe me, But if you're open minded like I am, you can receive correction and instruction in a loving way and everything. And when I thought I had offended him, the way he fired back at me rapidly, I was like, oh, whoa, I was just, being comical. But there's something he had said, and I don't like talking about politics. Y'all know I don't like talking about politics, and I really don't care about being politically correct or my lack of etiquette. But he had said an interesting word that I did not know was like part of our Constitution and everything, and it really kind of struck me as interesting, and I wanted to elaborate more on this and everything, and want you all to hear what his knowledge is about this, because he's a very knowledgeable young man. He really is. And when he feels strong about something, just like me, as you guys done seen, this man steps up to the plate and he don't back down. He holds his ground. You can stand him up at the gates of hell, but he won't back down. Boy, long live Tom Petty. Anyways, had to do, we were talking about being a conservative and liberal and all that jazz you heard him talk about a second ago and stuff. But he hit in this midst of us talking, I said, well, you know what I am? I said, I'm John Q. American taxpayer, and I'm pissed. And he said, oh. And what was the word you said I was?
Let me look that up.
Oh. Well, anyways, now it's going to bug me. I'm trying to think about what that was again that he said.
Sovereign. You're
a
sovereign native.
Yeah, sovereign native.
Well, sovereign is considered... It has to do with more of a Native American language. You'll hear people going around saying, I'm a sovereign American. Literally, what sovereign American means when you say it to a police officer means you're a domestic terrorist. That's what they look at it, because it actually started over in, what's that word I'm looking for? Or say the country, where did that start at?
I bet you most people right now are thinking the Middle East.
No. Down under.
Australia?
Yeah, started in Australia, and they're considered domestic terrorists that will that's people are going around saying they're sovereign citizens, stuff like that. Well, technically, a Native American tribe or any indigenous people is considered a sovereign person. And he kind of just, when I said that to him, it kind of puzzled him. He didn't know what I meant by that because I had spent a lot of time, a lot of time with a Cherokee chief. And yeah, I'm also Native as well. Very, very, very high Native. But I spent a lot of time with this chief, and we would sit and talk. And, natives are sovereign people. And they're also a people of peace until you piss them off.
And they're easy to piss off.
Very. Some people are, some natives are harder than others, but there's one thing you should always know. A native is an easygoing person, regardless, because they're willing to trade. I mean, the stories you see and read about back in, the 1820s and stuff like that, where the natives were savages, as they were referred to. The reason they were like that is because they were trying to defend their land. It's exactly what it was, defending what was rightfully theirs.
And to defend their way of life and culture and preservation.
And religion.
And then when the so-called white man, which there's a whole nother story I could tell you on the whole white race, and you wouldn't even believe me. When the white man came in, was taking everything from them and putting them in their own what's that word I'm looking for? Reservation. When they put them on the reservations, they became a federal Indian or federal Native American, and that's when they started classifying actual natives as a sovereign person. They are free, and as long as their beliefs and everything come from that, they're considered a sovereign person. But in order to be completely sovereign, you have to live on a reservation.
And see, there's something else too that's in the mix. You talk about bullying. Bullies sometimes also become racists, even.
Very much so.
I mean,
Agnostic.
The what?
And agnostic.
Agnosty, yes.
I ain't too sure what that fancy word means, but what they said. Anyways, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
They have no belief in God.
I thought that was atheist.
Yeah, atheism.
There's several different words for not believing in the Lord or believing in a religion. Atheism is a religion.
How does that lead into bullying?
Because they don't they don't have God. They're on the wrong path.
How does that involve with bullying?
Sometimes some people do. Some people, I have my Bible, I believe in God, and they'll be like, I don't need God.
Now I've seen Bible bashers and I've also seen Bible thumpers. They're both, in my opinion, the same thing.
Well, not really, because a Bible thumper will throw a Bible in your face and say, "Here, read it. You need Jesus. Read." Which I had a guy earlier today tell me, hopefully you know who Jesus is because he's coming. I said, I know who Jesus Christ is. I said, I may not look like it, I may not dress like it, but I know who Jesus is. I don't have to. Off topic a little bit here, on this subject, but I don't believe that you have to go to church to believe in God, because literally sitting in a church listening to a preacher preach about God makes you a Christian just about as much as standing in a barn in a stall makes you a cow or a horse. Literally, because the natives didn't have a church, but they knew who God was.
Their church was the woods.
Yeah, exactly. Church is anywhere you make it, as long as you believe in the Lord. Now, I don't get too big on religious stuff, but I'm very educated in it. That's why the chief that I spent a lot of time around with, he really liked me because we could sit and talk about stuff, because I had a couple different beliefs than he did, and he had a couple different beliefs that I didn't. And we would sit and talk about it and come to a common conclusion on, how we got to that point, because I was raised completely different than this guy was. I was brought up as a Baptist, and that's about the closest to a real religion you can get nowadays for God, because it's the closest to the real Word of God. Because everything nowadays has been torqued and turned and been back. So But some people do bully on religion too.
Yeah, that's true. Now I see what you mean now. Yeah, people can bully on religion. Something else a lot of people don't realize, and I know it derives from the Greek, but did you know the word denomination actually in the Greek translation actually bluntly means to divide? And in the Bible, it never said anything about dividing the congregation at all. So all these different denominations, the word denomination really means to divide. So really, in all reality, it don't matter whether you're Baptist, whether you're Protestant, whatever. Fact of the matter is the only thing that really going to save you is Christ. And if you ain't got Christ in your heart, then I pray where you live and there's mercy in that you'll find Christ. You know what I mean?
Just like the whole racist thing you were talking about. Most people think racism only comes from white people. It really don't.
No,
I've dealt with racism from a black man. I was nice as could be to this guy because he was my boss. I worked for this guy at a place in Terre Haute. And I got treated like complete shit while I was there. But if another black person walked in, he was nice, let them do pretty well whatever they wanted. And all the white guys kind of just got thrown to the side. I don't like you, you know what I mean? And then when we didn't agree with something he said, call us crackers and stuff like that, I never once let the N-word slip out of my mouth because I had a little bit more respect than that. I mean, but that word has many different meanings, and it doesn't just mean one color. Anybody can be.
And what's even more worse about racism, racism itself is hurtful, but then interracial racism, and this is where you get into what the also now called the FBI, not Federal Bureau of Investigation, but full-blooded Indian, as which means you got your people out there on the res that think unless you're flipping out a federal card that states that your blood is federally certified that you are native, they don't even consider you. And like us, we know that we're part native. We don't have a BIA card, but in some cases we would get discriminated against because of that.
Do you want to know how to actually get a BIA card? All you have to do is piss in a cup.
Wow.
Or a blood test. That's all you have to do.
And really, from my understanding, now for all anybody out there that's native and everything, if you feel we're a little misinformed, I would love to be informed in the comment section below. I really would, or make a live comment because I would like to be more knowledgeable. But from my understanding and from what I even heard from one of my adopted Anishinaabe Ojibwe natives who also belong to the Medewan Lodge, well actually both of them, told me that more or less all a BIA card is nothing more but a glorified social security number. Just the difference is the government recognizes you as being native with this particular number. And what's even more sadder is the only time the government looks at registration like that is if it involves cattle, dogs, and natives. And that's a fact. That is a fact. So all I got to say is I know who I am in my heart. I know who I am in my mind. I know who I am in my spirit. And I know what's in this blood. And I know I'm native deep down inside. My tongue may not always speak no native language, but God knows what I am. And people close to me know who and what I am. And who and what we are. And we got native roots that run through our family a lot. We got Crow, we got Cherokee, biggest part, and we have some Miami, we have some Cheyenne, some Lakota, some Ojibwe,
some Blackfoot in there too.
Yeah, and some Miami. We're a Heinz 57, and at the same time, I know running on my mother's side is Irish, Scottish, Dutch, and German as well.
Yes.
And
Scottish.
And Scottish.
Hey, Brittany, do you have that power bank?
And I got another one up there that might be powered. Might. My battery's wanting to die on me, folks. But anyways, interracial racism, is just as bad as regular racism, because then it's people that you might feel like that you could. Well, it could be worse.
Do you have a? Maybe we could resituate and put it on charge.
Hey, can I borrow your smoker thingy? Charger cord?
Move it to the kitchen.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. We could got that plugging right
We'll
there.
just move it over here.
Here, we can set it up there. That's why we're a bunch of fart smellers.
Fart smellers. If that's what you classify yourself as, you know what I'm saying? There, Vern. Now we're cooking with peanut oil, as old
Tasty.
Phil Robertson would say. There we go. There she blows.
Well, I never thought about that. Mm-hmm.
The good stuff here. Let you get a seat and pop squat.
Boy. Everybody fit in here. Well, Ma, you might as well scoot in closer.
Here, we'll readjust this to where we can get all of us in here. On another thing on the native thing, there's one word that always stuck to me that was actually a native tongue, and that was Gayui. Now, you probably don't know what that means, but I'm gonna go ahead and enlighten you on that. It means love. Love everybody. I mean, because the way it should be looked at, everybody bleeds red. Everybody.
When oxygen hits that blood.
Exactly. Everybody bleeds red. And, I've got a lot of friends that are racist, but I can see their point on it because they've been done wrong by a certain person. And that just makes them, But I've also got a buddy who's racist towards people who he knows are like that, not just to one race. So, and I know people of color that are racist towards his own people. Interracialism. So,
I'm not racist. You know why? I got color friends that I would die for. I got Indian friends that I would die for. In fact, a long lost cousin is the chief of the Miami. And his brother is the spiritual leader. And I've been kind of a spiritual person myself all along. I went to church long enough to know the basics of church. And the fact that God lives, even today, in my heart. And I got the basics down. But my church has always been the woods. And I love that. But I have no racism in my soul. Because I see a human being. I don't see color. Fact is, I'm colorblind and I can't help it, but a lot of people need to be colorblind. That way they would treat people better because they can't tell what color they are. So, whenever you think of that, you could be thinking about, well, if this person is an American, that's fine. If it's not an American, if it's a Native American, well, that's fine too. They're human beings just like you and me. And if you have problems with that, look up your family tree and see what kind of person you are. We even got French blood in us.
Something else that, go along with that. There's one band of bullies that our country somehow overlooks. I mean, the federal government had cracked down on them a little bit, but yet they're still condoned because, well, in some forms, they are protected under the First Amendment right, which is freedom of press and speech, and the other one involves, separation of church and state. That's the Ku Klux Klan. Now, a lot of people don't want to harp on that, but I don't care because I done stood one Ku Klux Klan member up to, stood my ground to one of them anyways, and didn't care. But I think it would be absolutely hilarious if it was mandated for all of them to have a DNA test done to weed them all out. I wouldn't doubt if probably 95% of them find out that they have African American in their bloodline and that they're not all white or all Aryan white like they think they are. And so forth and so on for all these things. I mean, if you're going to say, be real bold about that, well, why not put your money where your mouth is? After all, your DNA tells the story about you anyways.
You know what? That's a good point.
That's also something else they don't tell you to link on with that, but this also goes into like government conspiracies too, which I don't want to get in on that, but here's an interesting fact. Whenever you go get blood drawn, they take 3 vials of blood. 1 goes to a lab, and 2 go to the federal government. You know why? Your DNA says a lot about you.
As far as that goes, when I was doing my genealogy, I found out we were related to the Kennedys, President Kennedy's people. And I also found out we were related to the Bush people.
Oh, we're screwed.
George Bush and all of them.
Another good point. That Native American chief I was talking about, Chief Blackfeathers.
Mm-hmm.
The Cherokee Native American, believe it or not, is the closest to Jewish. They derived from the Jews. And how I found that out is I sat with his spiritual leader, him and his spiritual leader, and I got a whole rundown on it. Natives share blood with 2 people, an Ethiopoid and a Jewish. Everybody's derived from a Jewish or an Ethiopoid. And if you don't know what an Ethiopoid is, it is technically an African American, or you share blood with an African American. And it all comes from Africa. Because from the research that I got, I actually read some of his papers. The black male, black female were actually the first 2 people on Earth from the research that I got from him. And whether that is true or not, I don't know. But that is what I was told by an actual native chief.
And they also say that probably the Ethiopian race is probably the most purest race on the earth, believe it or not.
It really is.
And that's been geographically proven, nationally, geographically, historically proven. Because there was a thing on, is there a Travel or Discovery Channel or the History Channel about that? I remember seeing a few segments about that, even.
Well, in genealogy, what I found out was that our Scottish ancestors that we have came from Scotland, and they landed in Virginia. And when they landed in Virginia, they went from Virginia to the Carolinas. And when they went to the Carolinas, they married into the Indians. And one thing a lot of people do not understand is that the Indians accepts the mother's blood more than they do the father's. And I'll tell you why. Because the mothers are the givers of life. Our children.
Well, I do know in the Cherokee culture, that is, I don't know about most of the other nations, but I do know for a fact the Cherokee Nation, does go by the mother's lineage, because for another, not only is the mother or the woman the giver of life, but her clan is more proven than the father's clan.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever a woman, has child, in like the Cherokee society, the Cherokee Nation, it's always, that child belongs to the mother and the mother's clan. When a man marries a woman, he leaves his mother's clan and takes up his wife's clan. And if there's a divorce, then the children still stay with the mother's clan, and he goes back to his mother's clan or his mother clan.
Because you can't marry within your clan because you're all technically family.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All Indians are related in the clan, and therefore they have to go out and marry from other nations.
Other nations and other clans.
That's right.
Because the Chief Blackfeathers let me in on a little info on that, because if you think about it, the whole Cherokee Nation is technically related in one way, because they're all of the same blood type.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Something else too. There's a man named Aaron Stevens, and he was on the Blue Herring Drum, and I don't know if he's still a part of it or not. He's also a police officer, and I don't know if this is gonna come out sounding racist or not, but if it is, forgive me. People know I don't mean it this way, but he's a black man. But you want to know something? He's probably more Cherokee than I am, and he is Cherokee. And when I first started dancing in a powwow, as which I ain't danced in a long time, I love to go to a powwow and put on my regalia and dance because I miss it a lot. My first time dancing in an arena, I was asking questions. I was, not just was I trying to fit in, but I was trying to understand why it was that we do what we do, why we dance the way we dance, how come for this, how come that, not only was I participating, but I wanted to learn the culture. And when you learn the culture of a people, you're embracing, what's the word?
Your heritage.
Yes, your heritage. And this man, and I'd asked this man several questions, because he danced too, he was a dancer and everything. And I was standing with my mother and my cousin Art at the time when he was alive, and I was standing with them, and this man walked up, and at first I thought I had said or done something wrong, and he walked up and he looked at Mom and he looked at my cousin and he said, can I borrow him for a few minutes? He said, I really would like to talk to him.
Give me that picture.
And how's that ring on there? Oh. And anyways, he took me aside and he said, he introduced himself to me, shook my hand, and he said, I just wanted to let you know that your dancing had lifted my spirits. And he said, I could see in you the way you danced. It reminded me of myself. And he said, it just lifted my spirit. He said, I like to dance, but he said also my heart's on the drum. And he said, sometimes I feel like I neglect the drum because I also want to dance. And he said, looking at you dance and watching the way you're dancing, he said, it lifted my spirit. And he said, I want to gift you something. And to this day, I don't wear it much anymore because it's kind of cracked on some of the beadwork. But he gifted me my very first, I call it a choker, really, that I was ever gifted, that I, really took care of and had respect of, and everything. And it was before my mom had made some. And I wore that with pride. And I couldn't understand why he wanted to give it to me, but, it had touched him so much, my dancing, on that spiritual level and everything. And I kind of call it the Spirit of God, Creator, was speaking to his heart, and he wanted to, in his own way, I guess it was a blessing to him seeing me dance, and he wanted to give honor and thanks to that. And so you know, he gifted me that choker, you know, and every once in a while when I was really, you know, all the time and, you know, dancing and everything, you know, during when the local powwow season would start around here, you know, and everything, because there's like a little mini circuit of the powwow highway, as you would call it, here in Indiana. Matter of fact, Indiana was also named at, you know, for the land of the Indian, you know, or Native people, you know, and you know, so even within Indiana, there's like a little small circuit, a powwow circuit, you know, in Indiana. And anyways, I was dancing and everything, and whenever I'd see him, you know, I would always talk to him and everything, you know, and every time I talk to him, I try to learn something new and everything, you know, and you know, and then even my mom, you know, had said like in Kentucky, you know, where I'm now living, she said, you know, you went to she goes, well, we went to an actual Cherokee powwow that was held down there in Kentucky, and she said those people,
Hopkinsville.
yeah, in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and said that there were people that were even carded, some of them, and they looked as more Caucasian than Caucasian people, but they were Cherokee people.
Okay, he was talking about his cousin Art. This is Art. He died at the age of 53 in April the 25th. I forget what year. I think it was 2013. But that is Art. And he was a good man. He had a heart. He would help people if he knew that they were trying to help themselves. Only then was it truly good to help other people if they were trying to help themselves. And he was the driver for his brother before his brother died. His brother died a few years before him of cancer. And that about took his heart out. But Art was a good, kind man. He was 6'3", and he weighed 245 pounds. But he was good at heart. And he loved people, and he prayed for people when he knew they were sick. He even prayed for those that he didn't like. And that took one heck of a man to pray for an enemy. But who is our enemies? Bullies. Bullies are the enemies. And they're not nice people. He was bullied all his life. And sometimes even by his older brother. But he loved his brother. And he loved his mother. His mother gave his older brother everything, but sometimes gave Arthur nothing. But Arthur has a good heart, and he died young. But he didn't take his heart medicine. He didn't even go to the pharmacy to pick it up. So that is what happened. He died of a heart attack. I've had 2 heart attacks so far, but I will tell you one thing. This man I honor because he even prayed for his enemies. And that is something good to honor. And I also honor those who stand up for the weak and helpless. And that's what we're trying to do here tonight, to stand up for the weak and the helpless and the children that don't even know how to talk to their parents, is afraid to talk to their parents, because if they did, they might get very sad, because they would be punished. But I'll tell you what, if a kid cannot tell his parents what is wrong, then I think the parents better be looking at themselves. And you should always talk to your children and show them and tell them that you love them. But also let them know that if they are mean and terrible to other people, that they will not be excluded from punishment. They will receive punishment for being mean and cruel to other people. But I really think that if you would have gotten to know Arthur, you would have loved him dearly, as a lot of people did. Okay, I'm all right with this. So, Arthur was a friend, he was a cousin, and he was my caregiver. My kids I love dearly, but they did not know how to take care of an older person. And they never been around an older person until I got old. Oh goodness, then it really comes to them. Yeah, I hate to let them see me weak, because I've always been strong. I've always stood up for what was right. And if I couldn't talk, I wrote letters. And I tried to help other people with letters. You know, sometimes it's just taking somebody that'll listen to somebody else to wipe out bullying altogether. Because a bully is sometimes those that don't get listened to in their family. So they turn mean, they turn mad. And that is the result. They become a bully. And they get to where they don't even care if someone dies, as long as they can find somebody else to replace them, to bully. And that's because they're hurting inside too. Sometimes it's a bully because they were bullied from their own families. And believe me, I understand that, because I went through that all my life. But I overcome, because I know Jesus and he is in my heart. I got made fun of by my family, and they wouldn't speak to me. But whenever they came to my house, I treated them with respect, and I treated them like it didn't bother me, because in a way it didn't. It was only their stupidity if they didn't want to get to know me. But, you know, if they got real hurtful, that meant I didn't have to speak to them either. I can ignore them until they start speaking wisely. And then I was there for them. Be there for your children. Don't let them become bullies. And don't bully them because you're weak, because that shows bad ways on you. And I will pray for you on that. You know, it all comes down to, what did you hear when you were little? What did your family do to you that hurt you enough to make you go out to try to hurt someone else? You figure that out, and you'll know what it's like to be bullied.
You know,
Okay, I'm shutting up about that now.
there's one thing I want to say that my mom shared with me when I was younger. And this all kind of goes back to, you know, telling your children to stand up for themselves if they're the victims of being bullied. My mom shared with me this funny story about some girls in a gym class that was making fun of her and calling her fat and everything. And well, I was just going to ask you if you could tell your little story about how you really showed them girls up.
You know, I try to forget my past sometimes, but it's with me all the time. All the good, all the bad. One day, we were in physical ed class, and these girls, they were making fun of me. And, you know, they said that they could hit me in the face and with the volleyball, and I would never feel it because my face was too fat. Well, one of them hit me in the face with the volleyball, and I went down, and I didn't get back up for a few minutes. And when I did get up, I was dizzy, and I felt sick to my stomach. Well, the principal jumped their case, but I told them, I said, I don't want there to be any conflict here. I said, it was an accident. Well, this one girl, she come to me and she said, why did you say that? I said, what's the use of you hurting too? I said, you meant to hurt me, but I said, I don't mean to hurt you. I said, I know you're probably hurting inside because of something that happened to you at home. I said, you're taking it out on me because you think I'm weak. I said, but I'm strong. And I said, you'll never break me. And you know, I was just stubborn enough not to break. From then on, I tried to help other people. Even as a kid, I tried to help other people. I see somebody crying, I come and I put my arm around them and I say, can I help you? I said, I can probably help you. And they said, well, you're retarded. How could you help me? I said, how much of that is retarded? And how much of that is put on for those who think I am? And she said, what do you mean? I said, you don't have to be retarded to have common sense. I said, but people who think other people don't have any sense won't see it. And I said, just tell me your problems. And you'll see whether I'm the one with common sense or not. Well, she told me her problems. I'm not giving no names here, but this is something that really happened. She told me her problems, and I told her what to do. And she went and did that, and she was really happy with the benefits from that. And let me tell you, I was always drawn out to talk to some of her friends that needed help too. And you help one person and then you help more. Jesus says to love one another and to be of help to other people. That's what I do. And I try to help wherever I'm needed. And since I'm not married, my kids are grown, it's all right to help other people, to show other people that they're cared about. It doesn't matter whether it's old or young. Everybody needs help. Maybe that's why God has not taken away my capacity for loving others, for wanting to care for other people, to show them that they are good in my sight. So I thank you, God, for helping me and for giving me this love in my heart and for showing me that I'm worthy of it and I'm worthy of helping others. That's all I have to say now.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap this up. You got any last things to say?
Done so soon.
Well, unless you got more to say. You was yawning.
Yeah. Yawn's good for the body.
Oh,
Relieve stress.
don't hope with gas though.
Bodily functions.
Yeah, it's all natural. Oh boy.
Oh, was that funny? You got tears, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, if we could bottle it up and put it in a gas tank, you never run out of gas.
Yeah.
It would be millionaires. I'll be getting on the horn with cousin Gene and saying, "Hey, whip up a batch real quick. We're gonna make some money."
Well, actually, there is a guy who literally became a millionaire because he started bottling air. Like Japan, China, Canada.
Canned air.
Canned air. And literally, you put it to your nose and it's supposed to smell like fresh air from a different country.
It's like a mixture of Spaceballs and the Lorax.
It literally happened.
Wow.
Oh, well.
I guess it's almost like the same equivalent as when the Lucas Studios got together with the toy companies and started selling empty packages of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
That happened, folks. It did.
You
Look it up.
ever heard the actual real story behind George Lucas?
No, other than he has a cool name. Well, not named George, but the word Lucas. Also, my adopted sister's little boy's name.
Well, George Lucas, when he wrote the script to Star Wars, nobody wanted to do it because it was a science fiction movie, and like nobody's gonna watch science fiction. But it turned out to be one of the biggest movie franchises to date.
Yep.
It is also based on some Japanese spiritual, like, folklore, too, some of it.
Don't know about that.
Yeah, there's like a fighting style, whatever, where they believe that you could build up a chi or some kind
Chakra.
of... Yeah, chakra, to where you could, like... To where they believe that you could, you know, manipulate the things around you, you know, to, like the way you see those guys jump in the air and use the Force. They really believe that, you know, believed all that. And...
Like airbenders.
Yeah, and stuff of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Like, I guess three producers turned him down, and one finally said, "Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it." Even though I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with it, but he only gave him like a real small budget. Ended up going over budget, lost people on the movie set, stuff of that nature. And then when the movie actually came out, it ended up being one of the best movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah,
I mean, literally, a guy starting from the bottom made it to where he's at now. Kind of like,
Jim Henson, man, he got Jim Henson, when he had the idea for the Muppets, or however it's pronounced, he got turned down, I think, 28 times because people thought his idea sucked. And you know, that's something else. Speaking with bullying, Hollywood is
biggest
one of the
bullies.
biggest bullies of all, whether it comes with native culture or anything. I mean, we can open up a whole another can of worms for that. But there's already plenty of people that's already pointed this out. I know he was going somewhere important with all this.
Sylvester Stallone's another one. Believe it or not, the Rocky movies were actually written by Sylvester Stallone.
I never knew that.
He wrote the scripts to it, and he was poor.
It was
He-
about
he-
his life.
Oh,
I mean, he grew up poor. He moved to New York, and living off the streets, barely making any money, and then a man, literally all it takes is a dream and getting pushed around for the right person to really shine.
You know, that's something else. Now that you mention that, he did kind of relate the Rocky story, as he said it, as being kind of like in his own form of a biblical story to a certain degree with a modern day twist because he said here's this man who's just a man, but with the help he said from I can't remember how he quoted, but there's a video clip of him out there talking about this. He said pretty much showing where God was working in his life, and working through him to show how with God you can do things or having a little bit of faith, and yeah, and even in those, it shows him battling a bully. If you think about it, I can't remember which one of those, And another show that was pretty decent that also involved a few bullies. That was Every Which Way But Loose and Every Which Way You Can. You look today, you had that biker gang. There was a bunch of bullies, and him and Clyde, the ape, was, put them people in their place, didn't they?
Well, look at Billy Jack.
Oh, Billy Jack. Billy Jack. I got that whole collection. I likes it.
I mean, pretty well. I mean, some of these people you see that have everything that you wish you could have, they started from the bottom and they dealt with bullies. Not everybody was born with it. Sometimes it really just takes a bully to open it up. But just because you can, don't do it. Moral of the story is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it.
And sometimes too, you can also sometimes sometimes too, some people get so famous so quick, or something hits them so quick, they think they're invincible. Well, then it's like the story, in the Bible, about the potter's the potter's field. Sometimes a vessel can be made, but then the potter will just scrap it and tear it apart. But then that's where you become humbled. That's where you become humbled. There's sometimes that's how you turn a bully into being an anti-bullier.
Stay humble.
Yeah. Sometimes people get humbled. And believe me, everybody that's a bully out there, eventually come one day, you will be humbled. Whether it's by the hand of God or people around you that will show you the error of your ways, you will become humble. I mean, every once in a while in my life, sometimes, when I think I'm on beat, I'm on rhythm, sometimes I might hit a stumble where someone's like, hey, man, I think you forgot your humble beginnings. And if you get your humble beginnings, guess what? You don't know where you came from, and if you can't remember where you came from, then how you going to know enough to go forward in life?
A lot of people don't even know their ancestors. And I think that's a shame. Because everybody should at least have an historian in their family that would gather this information and pass it out to the rest of the family. So I think in the long run you would be better off if you knew your family history. I wouldn't have known that I'm a distant relations to some presidents. I wouldn't know I was distant relations to book writers, and I wouldn't have known that I was distant relation to artists. Now, my cousin Art, he was a good artist. He painted pictures, and he painted them so you knew what you were looking at. Like, he painted me this picture that's above where this phone is sitting, and he said he wanted to do that for me because I got him back into painting after he quit because somebody stole his paintings out of the gallery that he was having a show at, and he had 20 some odd paintings in that show, and they stole every one of the paintings, and they were all good paintings. and it tore his heart out. And he didn't have the gumption to paint no more. Well, when he was drawing on a piece of paper one day, when I was in his care, I saw him drawing and I saw the smile on his face. He enjoyed drawing, and I knew he wanted to paint. So I went and bought him some canvases, and I took and bought him paints, brushes, and paint thinner for his oils. And he started painting, and the first painting he gave to me. Is there any way you guys can get that painting down? And we'll show it to them?
Oh, we could do this.
Yeah, we can turn the camera on. That'd be easier.
That is the painting that my cousin Arthur made. Get a little closer if you can. Okay, now I think they can see it.
Yeah.
It's of a Indian village scouting party, hunting party, and they're getting food for the people, and then they're going to take a pack on those horses. An Indian never really liked to ride horses because they could carry packs and stuff, but you know, they figured if they rode on horses all the time, that it would break their backs. So they tried to make it right, and they didn't let it hurt them. But my cousin Arthur made that painting for me, and it's got the barest details, all detailed in it. If he would have lived, he would have had another gallery show, probably in a different gallery. He'll probably got one that had more security, but that was my painting that he did, and it's the very first one when he started painting. What was that?
Pretty sure that's Luna again. She said she likes to draw. She'd like to start drawing again, but things in life will get in the way.
Part of her trouble, she already knows. I probably shouldn't do it, but sometimes I do kind of tease her about one thing, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way, but she's a good friend. She's a good person by heart. There's just a few things that she puts up with that I don't think she should.
Yeah.
As which, in my opinion, is another form of bullying.
Here's what she said.
Well, I can't.
I used to draw. I was hoping to make a living doing it, but when that didn't happen, I just quit. Life got in the way.
You're never too old for anything. If you're not too old to go back to school and learn something, you're never too old for anything.
And she says she's used to your teasing.
Well, it keeps you on your toes. But she's just like you, though. I've seen her several times. If she thinks you're in the wrong about something, she'll come to you and tell you. Or if she has a firm belief on something, she'll come to you and tell you. Just like with a current situation I made with somebody I met, just same as you, she made a point to call me and tell me her concern, you know. And at first I'm sitting there thinking, is this from a jealous woman's point of view? And then when she's like, I just don't want you to come home one day and find everything missing. Yeah, I was like, well, I understand the concern. So, I mean, she's just like that, you know.
I mean, sometimes you can't just, let people say stuff when you feel like you need to voice your opinion, because if you're always quiet, then what's the point in having a voice? You have a voice for a reason, use it.
Just like with people that are jealous, they become bullies whether they realize it or not.
They really do become bullies.
And very sarcastic.
And it's like I told somebody in this situation, I said, you know, people that are in a jealous relationship, only one of two things is going to happen. They're going to either force the people that you call friends away, or they're going to cause you to push those people away if you don't take a stand. Because that's a form of bullying.
Mm-hmm. You know, you gotta quit being a baby sometimes.
Yeah. And for everybody that's viewing and stuck with us this long and bared with us, we thank you for watching and thank you very much. And hope you hit like, share, and subscribe if you ain't already subscribed, or share with a friend, and maybe they might subscribe and become a fan.
Yeah, because the whole reason of this video is really to talk about bullying, because it's not talked about enough, and speaking my mind isn't very popular. Like I said, over the years, the filter just stopped working, and I'm too old to worry about what people think anymore. I totally agree with that.
Right?
Because if you don't speak your mind and you're not straightforward with people, then, you know, I mean, what's the point in beating around the bush? I mean, you can't always sugarcoat everything, because there's a time to be serious and time to joke. And when it comes to stuff that you feel strongly about, you need to voice it. I mean, that's how I was brought up. I mean, you got to speak your mind, but don't always be serious. It's like I was saying earlier. I mean, you can't always be serious. But there's a time to play and time to be serious.
There is another form of bullying that I don't like. Bullying other kids to drink, bullying them to smoke,
Peer pressure.
peer pressure. And that is the worst kind, because you could be harming somebody. Maybe some of you don't care, but put yourself in the place of that person. How would you feel if it was done to you? Don't do that. That's another form of killing.
You know, there's also something else too. If you feel the need to want to take a stand for something too, but you're not too for sure about it, I was always told if you're going to take a stand for something, you better be sure first of all you're on the right side. And if you ain't for sure if you're on the right side, well then you better hold your peace till you find out whether or not you're on the right side. And one of the telltale signs of knowing that you're on the right side, other than also having a large gathering of information or informed information about something, as well as how's it going to feel in your heart, and then is it something that when you lay your head on the pillow at night and wake up the next morning, are you still going to be proud of what you did? And if you're not proud about what you did the next day, then you better rethink, better recap, maybe even go back and apologize or retract some things, because, you know, it takes a bigger person to also admit they're in the wrong than it is also to stand up for saying, hey, I'm in the right as well. You know, once again, it also goes back to being a humble person. You know, a humble person, you know, is not afraid to admit when they're wrong. You know, that's just part of being, you know, grown, you know, and something you learn over the years. Me, however, that came with a lot of trial and error and a lot of hard knocks from the school of hard knocks. And
yeah, and if he listened to me, he wouldn't have had such a bad time.
well, a lot of it. I always had to learn the hard way.
Hey, that's what it takes. Some people are just hard-headed. I'm one of those hard-headed people. I mean,
I know.
sometimes it's easier for the hard-headed person to learn the hard way than it is the easy way. I mean, it shouldn't be like that, but that's what it takes sometimes, because...
Hard-headed kids.
You know, talking about being serious.
Bless their hearts.
Talking about being too serious. If you notice throughout this entire live stream, we have pretty much kind of comical relief moments. And, you know, I hope everybody picked up on that. You know, especially, you know, the thing with gas and flatterings, you know.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, sometimes somebody has to be the comic relief sometimes. You know, it's like when I was trying to form a band with some people, and some of them, some of them used to be friends, some of them are still friends. But anyways, we was at another person's house just having a bit of a cookout with a friend who was just a supporter, or a mutual friend of everybody's. And we were sitting there, and they was arguing back and forth what type of band was going to be, country, rock, metal, whatever, And I'm sitting there, they was having a heated debate about it. You would have thought they all were a bunch of politicians trying to argue their way into office. And I was starting to get a headache from it all, and I started focusing on something that made me happy. Real happy. And finally, they just looked at me, and they're like, Rob, you've been quiet this entire time. What do you think? What type of band should we be? I sat there, and I'm sitting on some steps, my knees kind of up in my chest a little bit, because then I wasn't so fat. Hey, I'm talking about myself now. And I am a husky man. Pleasantly plump. Fluffy. Anyways, I'm so sorry about throwing those at you. I was just trying to get your attention. Anyways, here I'm talking about anti-bullying. Pick on your wife. But anyways.
It's okay, she'll pick right back.
Well, once again, dynamite comes in small packages.
She's very small.
Anyways, I calmly look up at him with a straight face. With a straight face. I had the most serious look on my face according to what some of them had said. They said I had such a serious look on my face that they said if looks could kill, somebody been dead. And I looked at them and I politely said with a smile, or in the middle of it, I smiled and said, I like cherry pie. And exactly what just happened. Now picture about 6 other guys doing the same thing. Spontaneously. If you was walking through the alley beside this mutual friend's house, you thought it was a bunch of schoolgirls giggling. And these were grown men that had beards. Some of them.
Yep.
Wow, random much.
Yes, totally.
Well, the title of the video is Random Thoughts.
And anybody that follows my channel, I'm full of randomness, and I like it.
I don't usually get into all the talking, but I take in, just say a few words and then I'm gone. Now I'm sticking with it, man.
And this is how you count before calculators.
Don't forget your toes.
Oh yeah, got all 5 of these and 5 of these and this 5 and this 5. Oh, don't forget you can use your nose too.
And teeth.
And ears. Like Carol
Burnett.
And that's all, folks.
Yep, you just need shiny stuff now. We need strings too. Rubber duckies. Maybe a pocket monkey.
Wait a minute, what's a pocket monkey?
It's a little bitty monkey about yay big. It's like a micro monkey. They're real things. They're real cute. I want one. But it's like $1,000 to get one. It's the only reason why I haven't got one yet.
Kind of like a green monkey?
No, not really. It's literally a real monkey, but it's only like this big.
A small spider monkey.
Yeah, it's like a mini spider monkey. They're cute, but like I said, they're about $1,000. Yep. Yes, and a rubber chicken.
Right on.
A squeaking rubber chicken.
I used to have a rubber frog that squawked.
You got anything to drink up in there? What is it?
The non-alcoholic beer.
Is it hot?
And there's no ice in it. I got a root beer in there.
We'll take a root beer.
A root beer.
I get it.
Sure.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.
She'll be expecting a quarter tip later. I'm joking.
I got vape juice.
Probably healthier on her.
Don't tell her that. She done told me her mind on that earlier. She said she gonna get nicotine. She's gonna use the right. She's gonna do it the right way.
Do it the old-fashioned way.
want one?
Thank you.
I
All
got
this
some
talking-
Sprite Zero.
All this talking's got me thirsty.
All this talking. Talkity talk 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 talk.
You didn't
What?
say you wanted anything.
I got something. I threw a pack of corks at somebody to get this.
My wife.
Behave.
Miss me.
Come on, kid.
She got him back. Oh boy.
Trying to be professional here.
You professional. Okay.
Hey, I'm about as professional as I am perfectly and perfectly perfect.
Right on.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, I guess that means something then, don't it?
Yep. You know, this being 2018, there's also a few personal shout outs I'd like to give. These shout outs go out to 2 managers where I work and 1 friend where I work. Now,
My juice.
anyways, the first shout out I'd like to give is to Miss Liz, my manager at work. She's the one that approved my vacation time down here. You keep track of her comments.
Yeah. To hell with professionalism. Have fun.
I give that 2 thumbs straight up.
We got
Uh-huh.
4.
I'm holding.
We got technically 6, but we got 5 up right now.
Yeah, I'm holding Can Pop.
And a vape.
It's okay. I just grabbed the tank and go.
Woo!
Well, I can't go. Wait a minute. There it is.
There we go.
We inventive. And anyways, I like, if it hadn't been for Miss Liz taking and
She said thumbs up too.
awesome possum. And
You
anyway,
need 2. You need the double.
oh boy.
Breaking wind.
No, somebody let a match. But anyways, I like to say thank you to Miss Liz for approving my vacation time. I like to say when I had a moment of absent-mindedness, I like to say thank you, Mr. Carr, and I say Mr. Carr for short because I don't think the man would really like me to say his whole name, so I'm saying Mr. Carr. He's a night manager and sometimes my manager when I show up early to work and work an early shift. He kind of helped me, set me on a straight path when I kind of had a bit of absent-mindedness when it came to me trying to get a bus ticket down here, and they was all sold out of seats for the bus that I needed to take during the time period, and I was just happy to get a bus whenever I could, and I forgot about one day, and there was a whole mess, and he sent me on the right path to going about trying to get it fixed the right way, and once again, also, with that being said, I also have to say thank you to Mr. Trevor out there. You know who you are. You're my buddy, and everything, and one of the guys I look up to at work. If it also hadn't been for you corresponding for me and everything, I wouldn't have received instruction on how to go about trying to get something solved and everything to where I could come down here without no worries. Because, ladies and gentlemen, as it stood, I was on the verge of almost losing my job over some things, but it would have been my fault anyways on account of my absent-mindedness and everything anyways. But luckily, through the help of them, and then also, once again, to Miss Liz for doing what she done for me, I am successfully here and was successfully to spend Christmas, successfully able to spend New Year's with my mom, successfully to spend the first day of the year with my mother and my cousin here. And is there anything else you would like to add to that, to those managers and to Mr. Trevor?
I would like to say thank you. He may not have very many more years left to be with me. I'm sick and I'm dying. But who knows? I told the doctors I will die on God's time, not on man's time. So maybe God will give me quite a few more years, and maybe He needs me in heaven soon. Well, I thank you, and thank you dearly for my son. He is my only son. His sister is my only daughter and my baby. And let me tell you, these are children that I tried to teach the right way, the right path to go down. And hopefully, they will learn.
You got anything to add with that?
What?
With my shout out I gave?
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys, because it had been almost a year and a half since I'd seen him. And before he moved down to Kentucky, we were really, really close. Spent a lot of time together, especially after I got out of military school, because what can I say? He's a cool guy. Go over and just spend the night and kind of hang out with him, because growing up, my parents weren't exactly always there for me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They were, if it didn't involve something that they wanted or something about them, they didn't really care what I had to say. So I found somebody that actually wanted to listen to what I had to say. So I really appreciate it, because, you know, it's always good being able to see somebody you were close with, and it really sucks that he lives 3 hours away from me now, and same with you. So,
Well, I don't live 3 hours away from you.
well, I'm just saying that he lives 3 hours from us.
Well, you're welcome to come down and see me anytime.
I help when I can and give advice when he needs it. I'm his friend and I do what I can to. Okay, so this is for you. She says, I help when I can and give him advice when he needs it. I'm his friend and do what I can, ma'am.
Good.
He needs somebody there sometimes. He's a little crazy.
Hey, you know something else about this young fella here is I told him several times growing up, because I seen how I seen how his parents had done him, and not being a parent myself, I really can't make no judgment or really say anything really per se. But I just like to say, I've told this kid several times, I wish you was mine, because in some ways I kind of feel like in a small, tiny way, I kind of help contribute to him being raised, and anything good that I had to show or offer. Even though, like I've said in the other video, I was kind of like the lost black sheep, and everything, and not knowing that, I said I kind of had a bit of a issue where I almost was a borderline alcoholic, and that was no joke, and then there was a point, and forgive me for saying this, but and even if you don't, I don't care. I feel how I feel. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you know what I mean. There was one time when his parents felt like they had to be kind of self-righteous, when they found out that I was drinking, and took him out when, I was all calm, cool, and mellow, and I only had just one, and that's all I had, but they thought I was all, and I'm like some young guy running, keeping a 2-bedroom house running, paying rent and everything, and still going to work the next morning or whenever it was that I had to go to work, and everything, and, they just kind of overreacted about some stuff when, hell, they wasn't no better than their own selves, you know what I mean? But, there's a lot of times, I told this boy, I said, I wish he was my own child, because I hated some of the ways that I seen his parents do him. It broke my heart, and everything. But at the same time, too, and sometimes I forget, because, he's such an intelligent young man, that I forget how young he was when me and him first was introduced to one another. And what's crazy is, and I thought everybody was blowing smoke up my butt, and everything. But before I met him, on the other side of my family. Now, my mother's maiden name is Wigington, and my bio pop's name was Falk, and everything. And so, that side of my family, I didn't really know too many people and didn't care to know too many people from that side of the family with good reason. And everybody was telling me that me and him was alike, just I was more of an older, more native, and what's crazy is we got a cousin that she's a cousin, and that's the nicest thing I can say is she's a cousin and she's family. That she calls me the native one of the family, but even she has native blood in her too. I think the Wintoon Nation is what she has blood in her of. But she's like, you and him are alike. You guys are alike. You really like him. And they're telling me about all these things. I'm like, this kid, and the pictures I saw, I'm thinking, this guy's probably going to be a punk, and he's probably going to be cocky, and I'm probably going to want to smack him in his head, or, drop kick him like a football. And when I met this young fella, I could see the cockiness in him. I could see that, that rooster walk, kind of, but at the same time, even though he kind of, in some ways, came across that, I took a deeper look into the man, took a deeper look into his eyes, and saw the real person inside of him.
Saw the pain too.
And saw the pain, and even related with some of that pain. And it's root beer.
Well, he must be watching.
Hi, Tyson. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. And share with all the bullies you know. Anyways.
Tyson will just knock a bully out. That's right, brother. Comment on here.
Go in there.
Get in on these comments on here on this live, buddy. We want some of your input on this too, bud.
But
he just said because I've seen Quay go through a lot too.
That's my boy. Been there for me for 16 years. Best friend. So
actually, I wouldn't doubt if he probably knew you longer than I have, to be honest.
me and him. Okay, we met back in 2006, 2005, somewhere in there. Well, that's when we were first introduced. I was real young. I was skinny, if that says anything. I ain't
Yeah,
skinny
you're
no
right.
more.
It was because I just graduated that same year and moved back in with Mom after
'Cause
foster care.
you were just turning like 21.
No, I was lacking about 2 years,
Okay.
but still was able to get a hold of it if I wanted it.
Yeah, you were at least 18 when we first met.
Yeah, 18.
19.
No, 19.
Yeah, and my as he was saying, it's my cousin and my aunt on our Falk side of the family, and they're like, yeah, your distant cousin's coming over on such and such day. You should come over and meet him. I mean, you'd really like him, and you guys have a lot in common. I said, really? Is he going to be an asshole? That's the first words that came out of my mouth. I've always been vulgar. Always. I grew up around it, and I don't really even mean to be vulgar. I'm just a vulgar person. But sometimes the person that uses the F word excessively ends up being one of the smartest people you know. I'm not even joking. But especially my best friend Tyson. He's one of the smartest people I know. That's his favorite word. But aside from that, that's the first thing that came about. He's going to be an asshole. Because, a lot of the folk men in my family, and even the women, they were people you could barely stand. And
I can't even stand myself some days.
and
They're like,
no. Trust me. Just come over, spend the night. He's going to stay the night too. And you guys can get to know each other. So we got together. He came over, and I was already there, and we got to talking, and he was real funny. And then he actually sat and listened to me when I was talking, like he actually cared. So, what? What'd he say?
He goes, hell, Quaid has even told me I'm one of the only friends of Quaid's that Rob likes, lol.
Yeah.
hey, that I gotta say,
never met him.
I'll have to bring him over sometime.
Tell him to watch the F word.
He's Miami.
I get him.
Or ask him if he's Miami or Seminole. One of the two. Native.
I got a story to tell you about Tyson after he gets done talking.
Okay. But as I was saying, he came over, we were talking, and he actually listened to what I had to say. And then we got to talking about music. I am a music nut. Like, no joke. Music is literally what makes me sane and keeps me from going crazy. I listen to a lot of music, and he's like talking about his guitar. Is that, huh? What do you say?
It'd be easier, Tyson, if you would just make comments.
Yeah, because I got my, I'm using my phone as a Seminole, Miami, and Cherokee. So you really are brother if you're Cherokee.
Right
I mean, I
on.
call you my brother anyway because you are my brother, whether we're blood or not, because we got that bond, buddy.
That means he's a relative too.
Yeah. Just comment on here. I got my thingamajig here for live chat.
I got ears.
But we were talking about music and guitars, and I told him I had a guitar, and he's like, okay, well, Cherokee and Irish. Hey, your sister.
He said it won't let me for some reason, or I would.
Oh, tell him to restart it. Yeah, restart it, and then it should let you.
Or
But-
sometimes you have to make an entire Google account too.
Yeah, well, he does.
Oh, okay.
But we were sitting there talking about music and guitars, and he's like, "Do you play an instrument?" I said, "Yeah, guitar." He said, "Next time I'm here, and you're here, make sure you got your guitar with you." Well, I said, "I'm not very good at playing." He goes, "Neither am I, buddy." He's like, "But we'll do something." So let me pull this picture up if I can find it. But I took my guitar over there, and he was looking. He said, "Man, this is a nice guitar." And we got to talking, and we were talking about playing, and me and him really kind of just connected really well because it was finally somebody that I was related to that actually cared about what I had to say. And that's really all I was looking for, was somebody older than me that listened to me. For some reason, it's always like the adult. You're always looking for an adult to actually want to listen to you and hear what you have to say, which is what I was really looking for. And I finally found that. If I can find this picture.
I'm
Being
not a
an
good
adult?
player, but
Huh?
I'm a good singer.
Me, an adult.
Well, you were older than him.
Yeah, you were definitely older than me. You used to play a keyboard. It seems like a lifelong time ago. Hey, you know what? I'm pretty good at the keyboard myself, except for I like the synthesizer that makes like techno beats and whatnot. It's pretty cool.
I can play chopsticks.
Can you play spoons?
Yeah, give me a second. I'll show you.
Well, I can't find this picture, but it was a picture of me and Rob and his black baby and my Fender Squire that I got.
I got that picture on my phone.
Do you?
Yeah. I wish there was a way I could like still keep the live stream going and find that picture.
But he gifted me a was it a Crow Nation headband? Yeah, it was a Crow Nation headband, beaded headband. It had the crow emblem on it, and he's like, "Here, I want you to have this." So first thing I did was I put that on, and I was like, "You know what? We need a." He's like, "We're gonna take a picture of that headband on your guitar." So we're standing there posing. He's got his black baby, and I got my Sunburst Squire, and I was like, "Man, this is the coolest feeling ever." I felt so cool after that. But it was one of those, hey, finally found somebody that actually cares about what I gotta say. And then, I got older and I just quit caring. That's where I got my vulgarness from, but I also think it also comes from some of my friends because they kind of push it on me and I just kind of soaked it in and became an asshole with them.
Got a little thing to say about old Mr. Tyson. Or as I hear some of the kids say, Ty or Ty. Yeah, I've heard so many little kids. I heard a few little kids call him Ty. I think it's kind of funny. Kind of also makes me think about garlic knots. Anyways, well, every time I hear that, I hear the little kids call him Ty. I'm thinking, oh boy, garlic nuts would sound good right now. Bad for your cholesterol and heart, but I love them. Anyways, one time when him and this one skinny, cocky little junior son of a gun, and I'm being nice when I say
Talking
that.
about Logan.
It was your Logan or someone else. I can't remember who it was, but and Ty was over there, and
I do like cookies. Yes. Chocolate chip, please.
I
Chocolate,
and
no bake.
even better.
Oh, yeah. Peanut butter, no bake.
Oh, that's great. I
Cherry
like that
pie.
too. I make a mean one.
But anyways, this dude made a
Ty
comment.
said, I remember when Quaid got a little turtle thing. Oh, he was so proud and happy.
I know what you're talking about. It was in that tobacco medicine pouch that she had given me.
But anyways,
Purple one.
The not the purple one, the white one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, I have these Native American flags, and in some of my videos you've seen in my apartment, you've seen some of these flags I got hanging on my wall, and this person had said something. I can't remember who it was with him and Tyson, but they was there, and old Tyson, he spoke and said, well, if you don't like what's in a man's house, get the hell out. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, hell, this guy don't know me from Adam, and he's sticking up for me. And I'll tell you what, the other guy, he never came back neither.
Sorry.
You're supposed to bottle that so we can make a money.
But
Giving away free gas.
that's how Tyson is, though. I mean, he don't even have to really know you. He sticks up for his friends and his family and his friends' family. This is what. Okay, see, I gave him the nickname Catfish because that's what he loves to do. He loves to catfish.
I like fried catfish.
But we also call him the Pit Bull. We call him the Pit Bull for a reason, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. It does not matter whether he knows you very well or not. He will literally jump down somebody's throat over talking smack about somebody just because.
You should tell the story of when John called you a bitch because he smacked your beer bottle.
Which I have another story. Well, actually, enlighten you on that. This actually has to do with Tyson. This will tell you exactly how he is. But, you know, he don't even have to know somebody. If he has a feeling that he's actually going to like somebody or they come off as a good person, he'll stand up for you. It don't matter what it is or what it's about. Which that's what I love about him. Just like...
Excuse me, I'm going to let you run the show for a second.
I lived up in Indianapolis for about a year and a half, maybe, yeah, about a year and a half. And we were at another buddy of mine's house. And we came down here, it's a 2-hour drive, but we came down here and got Ty. And we were like, yeah, we're going to have this party, we're going to have some beer, you know, we're all going to hang out and have some fun. Well, this other buddy of ours, mutual buddy, had one of his buddies come over, and, you know, he was cool when I first met him, and then he turned out to be this major asshole. You know, I love to drink a little beer here and there. Well, actually, during that time period, I was drinking quite a bit just because I made better money than what I do now. But, guy walks up and slams his beer bottle on top of mine, just like that, and it starts foaming out the top. Well, I don't know if you're a beer drinker or not, but once you foam a beer up like that, it don't really taste good. It tastes flat. And Tyson he called me a bitch when I pulled it out, or when I poured the rest of the beer out. And he's like, you're a bitch. Tyson, not even knowing this guy, and this guy bigger than I am, and I mean Tyson is a real short guy, but like I said, we call him the Pit Bull for this reason.
Okay.
He got up to this dude and he said, "You just call my best friend a bitch?" I said, "You don't do that. That's my best friend, and that's why I love him." And literally, there are very few people in this world that I'd take a bullet for, and he's one of them, and he knows it. And I know he'd take a bullet for me. I love you, buddy.
Well, let's let Rob back in here. Or Sun Arrow, actually, I should call him. I don't know if they know you by your personal name on their YouTube yet, but
It's alright, it comes out once in a while.
well, you take it back over.
No, you were still telling your story about it, Tyson.
He said, I love you too, bro.
We'll have to come over. Well, we'll have to start our own YouTube channel and talk about stuff. You know what I mean? Good old days.
Ladies and gentlemen, I
Wait a minute.
think Mama wants to say something.
This is my powwow dress. The ones I dance with. And I enjoy my Indian heritage. And I enjoy being who I am. And I thank you for being here to hear us. Keep us in your prayers and keep life going on just as good as it can be. Be careful with yourselves and help others and have a prayer for other people. They need it. Goodbye, good luck, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mama. Oh, that thing don't fall over.
Now, I'm going to need help.
Sweet. Babe. Babe.
Miss Brittany.
Not yet.
Okay.
Leave it down there.
Let's see. Always walk the good red road. I thought it was the yellow brick road.
No, it's a red road for Indians.
I know. I'm just kind of cutting up.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. And for all you tokers and twickers out there, follow the green road. Oh.
You know what's so funny though? I could literally tell about a dozen different stories about me and Tyson. And I could tell a dozen stories about me and you. We've done a lot of crazy stuff together. I remember that one time we had a blackout in Linton. We were at your house, and it was me, you, and Logan. And actually, I remember who the other kid was now, but I'm not gonna name him.
Was he that racist prick?
No.
Oh.
Uh,
He did have a friend that was a racist prick
towards you, anyway.
because his mama liked me. I've been accused of being a Kruger chaser or however that's pronounced. I can't help it. I got a flirty attitude.
But I can remember we Linton had a blackout, and we're staying over at Rob's house, and he's like, you know what? Let's go have some fun. He goes, put on these vests. So he hands one to me and one to my buddy, and we go walking, and
I vaguely remember that. Go on.
and he's like, if you guys get hit, I'll feel bad, but me, don't worry about me. I'll just stay on the sidewalk. If they can't see this, then there's something wrong with them. But we go walking around, and there's a place in Linton called the Mission, and it's right by the library. So we go walking up that direction, and somebody knew us outside. And this is the funniest thing. This is the first time I'd ever seen Rob do this. But we're walking up there, and he sees one of his friends up there, and they're smoking a cigarette. And he goes, "Hey man, can I get one of those?" I looked at him and I said, "When did you start smoking?" And he goes, "Shh, it's our little secret. She doesn't know yet." I'll never forget that. He's like, "As long as you don't tell, I won't tell."
Who was I dating? Or was I even seeing anybody? Or was I just being randomly goofy?
No, you were seeing somebody. She didn't. It was, yeah, dummy.
Oh.
Yeah, the one with pedophile
Oh.
Raymond.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is when she had just got out of the hospital for that collapsed lung.
Yeah, I was trying to show him. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's funny. That was a funny moment.
Yeah, but he wouldn't listen to nobody.
But it struck me as funny because I had never seen this man pick a cigarette up in my life. And the one night I least expected it, after this person that he was with had just got out of the hospital for this, and he's like, all serious. Don't tell, and I won't tell.
And the crazy thing is that I don't know what I could have told by him that couldn't be turned around on me.
Right?
It was a win-win situation and a mutual respect. A gentleman's respect.
I never said anything until now, but we ain't worried about it no more.
Nah. Nah. You know, that like vape really makes things look really hippie, trippy, and kind of mystical.
Another really cool story I can remember, the first time you actually gifted me my first choker. I remember that. That was probably one of the most special moments I ever had. Because you had given me that and that bear claw necklace, which were both stolen from me. And then my choker that Mama made for me was stolen too. Which is actually illegal, by the way. For those of you that didn't know that, stealing a Native American Indian artifact is actually punishable by federal law.
Actually, there's actually stipulations that date something as being an artifact.
Well, you get what I'm getting at. Artifact, also possessions that are...
You could call it a religious thing.
Yeah, you do. You have one on your finger.
Other than that.
You could say a sacred spiritual item that was
Which,
personally...
did you know, I actually found this out, Chief Blackfeather said, I may not be able to help you get a BAI card, but I can get you a religious artifacts card.
Hey Rob, this one's for you. Tyson said, I remember when Rob made Quaid those necklaces, I wanted one so bad.
He could have spoke up.
He was a little jelly.
He could have spoke up. He never spoke up.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
Tell him he sent me 3 payments of $9.95. Send him my address. Tell him give me some money.
No, the person you really want to talk to, if you would like a choker, is Mama over here, which I will bring you over here. We'll get you taken care of too. But talk to...
You want a choker? I'll get you one.
But you'll have to talk to Mama, and you'll have to go through the entire ceremonial process that I went through, which is very, very special, very, very sacred.
Quaid already knows why I don't know.
Which I already know. I've already told you details of what happens. I've went through 2 of them now, which I have not told them yet. Because when I was up in Indianapolis, I was also accepted into another clan while I was up there, the Chickamauga Cherokees.
Oh yeah, that's our Kentucky clan.
Kentucky, yeah.
Banned.
I was accepted into the Chickamaugas. I was actually given another name by their name giver, as they call it. It was pretty cool, but it wasn't home for me, so it didn't. I mean, it was special, but it didn't mean what it did when I had it done by her. So, I mean, it's one thing to have a complete random stranger do it, and it's another to have somebody you're actually related to do it. But Ty, you are your family to me, and that's the way they will treat you as family, because you've earned their respect. You've earned it from him already. And
Long ago.
And from the story that Mama just heard, you've earned her respect as well. So we'll have to bring you over here and get you taken care of, I guess. That all depends on Mama.
I've got some harsh reality words for you, but I still have a great respect for you. Because you're a good guy, you're a good heart. But I'll tell you one thing. Every man needs to wear a belt, and every man needs to pack his own weight. And what I mean by that is you gotta learn how to toe the toe. And he can tell you what I mean by that.
But we'll talk about that later.
I'm just being blunt.
I know. Don't get mad. It's nothing bad. But
Hey, you know something? You take, me and Mom figured this out the other day. You take a half a tablespoon or maybe a quarter tablespoon. Whatever, a quarter tablespoon or half a tablespoon of cinnamon. I think we're
same rules apply to women too.
Did she say rolls?
Rules.
Oh.
Yeah. Where were you going with that?
Anyways, me and Mom, we concocted something. If you like flavored coffee, and you're too poor to buy flavored coffee, but you got a few spices sitting around, and you got some coffee, you take about I think it was a quarter of a tablespoon of cinnamon, and just a tiny little drop of
Knock.
good,
I knock it.
A knock.
yeah, a knock, just a tiny little knock of nutmeg. No, just a knock. And if you don't know what a knock is, that's when you got a container full of something. You just kind of knock it on the side of the thing you're gonna put it in, and a little bit comes out. That's a knock. See, and anyways, you knock a little bit of nutmeg in there. Then you take and you put just a drop of vanilla in there. Mix that all around and shake it like popcorn.
What do you say?
And then tell them, and then you brew it, and bam, it's like flavored coffee. Awesome possum.
No.
What?
That's not what he's talking about at all. Like I said, we'll talk about that. That's a personal matter we're going to discuss. He's looking out for you is all he's doing.
I'm just concerned.
I promise, it's nothing bad. This is stuff that me and him's talked about.
He's asked my advice about.
And yeah, we'll talk about that in private. That is personal matters. Just wanted to let you know that he knew.
And I've been praying for you.
It
Prayers.
was nothing bad, I promise. I swear it's nothing bad.
He swears about that as cute as this little thing right here is. I mean, look at that. Can you look at that and not smile or giggle? I mean, look at that. That's Mom's little fancy dancy decorated back rubber. Look at it. It got a little smile. Hey, that's like little whatever you're.
That's
He
cheap
said-
massage.
Oh, that's
Tyson
chief
said-
massage.
Tyson said, "Thanks, Rob. You're a good guy."
I've also been called a prick.
Yep, that's a fact.
A lovable prick.
Tyson is a prick, but he's very lovable too.
And he likes to be called a prick.
He loves it when you call him a prick. That's just because that's what I call him. But
I like to be called a lot of things, but you know, some of them I can't mention.
Rob. Let's not.
Let's behave now.
behave.
He said, "So have I every day, LOL."
Every day I'm shuffling.
By his grandma.
Yeah, his grandma, his own grandmother tells him that he's a prick and an asshole. He thinks it's funny, but she thinks it's funny. But hey, you know what?
Tell him to tell her yes, and I'm good at it.
He does too.
We got an incoming message.
Yeah, she said, "Behave, Robert." LOL.
Sometimes it's nice to be naughty. It's real good.
Oh.
Sorry,
La, 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 la.
I think I'm making your wife blush. She ain't never gonna let me around my little cousins ever again now after this. She's gonna be like, "Oh Lord, what is that man gonna teach those children?"
Rob has
Don't
a
talk like that.
no. Rob has this shell that he kind of stays in before he really gets to know somebody, but he's still very blunt with you. All you ever think about is naughty, LOL. Hey, that's a man thing. Legit, it literally is a man thing.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It just comes natural. Hey, I'll admit it. I'm pretty bad about it. So.
And you learn from the best, right?
That's probably not a good thing.
Well, you and him got hitched, so it can't be all that bad.
Oh, I done it again. See that?
You gotta treat your off-camera help with a lot of respect. And when you see me go off camera, I shouldn't toot my own horn, but well, what did she say?
Wow, ouch. You asked. Actually, you threw that out there, so we just took advantage of the comment.
But anyways, hey, we got 3 people watching. For all 3 of you.
Well,
You rock.
actually 2, because I'm one of the 3. Remember? Comments. Tyson and Luna, I think that's her name.
Oh, here I was thinking we were super popular the entire time.
I told you I had this up.
Well, now I feel like a reject. Well, I didn't think that would actually like. Hey, that's awesome because for like a split second we like had 4 people and then I think we was like 5 of them.
Well, maybe that Barry dude got on there and like, I ain't got nothing really to say yet.
I just like to say from my buddy Barry in the High Mary area, I like to say we're not talking about you, my buddy.
We're talking about the guy that I said his name in the beginning, which I'm not going to bring back up because I'm over that heated moment because this dude picked a fight with me, and he's lucky that I don't show up at his doorstep. If it wasn't for the fact that I have to work this week, I probably would.
And I also like to say my buddy Barry, he from good old Chicago. He's a Blackhawks fan, and I found out that they're in 4th position on the I can't remember what you call it, but you out there and all of you that are hockey fans know what I'm talking about. Or Blackhawks just might do it again this year. Just hopefully they don't blow it in the playoffs. If they do get to that point to where it don't matter if they win or lose the last 3 regular season games. Anyways, also I like to say I watched my first hockey game today. It was the New York Rangers versus the New York Buffalo Sabres. And I like to say I'm a New York Rangers fan outside of my home team. I consider to be the Chicago Blackhawks. And then outside that branches to the New York Rangers. And they won 3-2, I think it was. 3-2 or 3-1. No, yeah, they won 3-2 because it went into overtime and they won by 1 point. So it was final results ended up being 3-2, which was awesome. I was glad to see that happen for my first hockey game of the season.
Mm-hmm. I knew that.
What's that?
It's -1 degrees out right now, people. It is bone chilling cold.
So if you got any warm beer, just sit it on your back porch.
All it's going to take is 5 minutes. You know, I noticed you talk with your hands a lot.
I don't think anybody wants to see this ugly smile. Yeah, I look in the mirror and I was like, ah.
This Halloween's over. Take your mask off.
Boy, where's that synthesizer when you need it? Hey, you want to know something?
What's that?
I learned something. I can't remember the name of one of the third replacement guitarists for Kiss. I can't remember his name. Bruce Kulick, I think. Is there a Bob Aaron or not Bob Aaron? Bruce Kulick. After he had played with Kiss for a while, he had actually wrote some of the hockey tunes that you hear during a hockey game.
Really?
Yeah, and that was like pretty far out, as well as even wrote jingles for like one of the original jingles for Enterprise. He had helped write, and a few other like commercials, and I think he even wrote a thing or a skit for one of the Wendy's commercials. I think, as which pretty cool.
I don't get into hockey very often. I mean, biggest sport I get into, well, 2 biggest sports I get into, because I play basketball a lot, but I don't really watch it all that often, but baseball, but to me it's boring to watch, and football, because I like football, because it's all hands-on.
Well,
Hockey is the same way, it's just on ice skates, so it's not like
You're moving under your own feet and not two blades. I'd break my ankle.
You know something? You want to know a real extreme sport that has made one football player bow down to the people that participate in the sport?
What, rugby?
No, bull riding.
Yeah, that's a pretty dangerous sport.
One of these days, I'd like to hop aboard one bull and pray that it don't kill me. And I want a bull ride just one time. My adopted dad, his name was Jerry McKinnon, and he was a Vietnam vet. And you know your Navy SEALs, you know? Well, before they was called Navy SEALs, they was called Underwater Demolition or Frogmen. And anyways, he had done bronc busting in the rodeo, and he had knew a few bull riders. Matter of fact, there's a guy in the Professional Bull Riding Association right now that uses part of his last name as part of his rodeo name, and anyways, that was inspired by him to do rodeo bull riding or professional bull riding. And anyways, he told me, he looked at me and he said, "Ron," he said, "would you seriously want to hop on an animal that, even though after you're off of it, even if you get flung 20 feet away from it, the minute it sees you, it's going to want to kill you?" I said, "Well, I walk to work all the time," and at that point in time, I did walk to work by the time you added up both ways to and from, it ended up being about 5.5 miles. I said, "I walk on the side of a highway. What can be more dangerous than that?" And he looked at me and goes, "Well, you got a partial point, especially on a Friday and a Saturday night in this small town." As which, if anybody knows anything about Linton, Indiana, on a Friday, Saturday night, especially on a New Year's time period frame, even though you ain't got much to worry about except for around 3 in the morning when all the bars close. But anyways, I said, "What more, how dangerous could it be?" He said, "Well, you got a point," but he said, "I just want you to know one thing. You might do it one time, but," he said, "that one time can change your entire life." I said, "Oh, I know there's a lot of injuries that can go on," and I said, "I know that." Yeah, I said, when someone's bull riding, I said, "I know it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it happens, and any injury can happen. Your entire chest could be entirely collapsed. You could get gored. Sometimes you can probably walk away just being gored in the leg and get some staples and stitches if they can get to you quick enough before you bleed out or whatever, Or it could, you could get horned and wind up hitting an artery and have 20 minutes, or 20 seconds, or however long it takes for a main artery, to completely bleed out if unattended.
It's not very long. Not very long. It's only a few seconds.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a number of things, involved in that. And,
you should go to Friendship, Indiana during the shoot. You might like it. I don't know much about your neck of the woods. Where's she from?
She goes to Friendship a lot, but she's down there in Kentucky, from around where Florence, Kentucky and stuff is.
Where's that at? What's the closest?
It's the closest to big city I go to and can get to on the bus without going into Cincinnati.
So it's right there on the border of Ohio. Kentucky, Ohio border. If it's down in that area close to the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana border, that's like 3 hours from me. Covington, about 20 miles from Hebron. Yeah, that's about a 3-hour drive for me anyway.
I would like to go there just one time to hang out. She actually gave me the opportunity to go with her one time, but I wanted to go to the mall and everything, and because also I wanted to get this watch that I'd been eyeballing for a while. I gave up birthday money to pay bills instead of getting the watch I wanted, and so I ended up deciding when I had the money I was going to get that watch.
But I'll keep that in mind if I ever have the time to go down there. I'm pretty sure I'll go down there and you might meet me there.
Be cool. But anyways, he said the thing with bull riding too, he said, is once you get it and once you do it one time, he said, My fear is you'll get it in your blood. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you get a thrill and you like it so much that you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And he said, one of these days the bull will get you.
You know what that's called, right?
What's that?
Adrenaline junkie. Because I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. Like, if you think about it, Tyson knows what I'm talking about. When it comes to riding four-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff like that, there's some crazy gnarly stuff you can do that just gets your blood going, get that adrenaline, and you honestly just don't care what happens in that moment. It's exactly what bull riding is. It's just an adrenaline rush, literally, because some people, the only way, I've come to really find this out about certain people. There are some people that really don't have a feeling at all. Like, they're emotionless almost, unless they're doing something that's putting their life in danger, and they're like crazy about it. Like, for instance, Evel Knievel was crazy. He did some of the craziest stunts. He was an adrenaline junkie.
He was also very paranoid of people.
Yeah, but he was an adrenaline junkie.
I didn't know it though, but he was paranoid of people. I didn't realize that.
Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Who's that?
Oh, that's my friend Luna.
You're over here yawning now.
It's all good.
Well, we touched on some good things today.
Oh yes.
It wore us out.
Took a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we might have found a closer because we're going on almost a 2 hour and 40-minute video.
Well, we touched on a lot of good stuff, and who knows how long it'll be before we can do this again. That's your family and everything, and I just hope that what we do will help someone else, encourage somebody to do something positive, in the world.
That's all you can hope for, because it takes one positive impact to change one person's life. It also takes one negative, too.
I'd still like to hear another funny story about you and Tyson.
Another funny story? Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. There's plenty of them. I'll tell you the first time. Okay, I told y'all I used to chew and all that. I'll tell you the first time I ever got Tyson to take a dip of chew. This is great. But, it was about about two months, maybe a month before deer season was coming around. And if you know anything about hunting, a lot of people like to get their stands out in the woods early. Well, that's what Tyson was doing. He's getting it up there so the deer could get used to seeing it and they're not going to stray from it. And he's got his climber and he's getting it ready, set up in the tree. And I said, man, why don't you take a dip? And he goes, I don't know. I said, don't be a pussy. So I peer pressured him.
You bully?
I was bullying him a little bit. But it was all in fun. It wasn't like I was forcing it on him, like, here, do it. I said, don't be a pussy. And it's like, no. And then finally I got to him and he said, all right. So when he gets down, he's like, put a dip of this in. Puts in, a little bitty amount, not much. He's like, oh, that's not bad. I kind of like this. So we hop on his four-wheeler and head up to the front, and he swallowed a little bit of it. So we're in his house, and we're just chilling. We got us a couple spit cups, and we're spitting. He's like, man, I really don't feel good. I said, oh, it's okay. It's just the nicotine. You'll be all right. He goes, no, I swallowed it. I said, no, you didn't. He goes, I did. He goes in the bathroom. I hear him gagging and puking, and I'm like, you all right? He's like, man, my stomach hurt so bad, and I felt so sick, I had to make myself puke. I shoved my fingers down my throat.
You are a mean boy.
And he's like, I ain't doing that shit no more. And then from there on forward, he really did that Red Man Leaf mail pouch. And then eventually he moved up to the big boy stuff.
That big boy stuff ain't nothing. That's worm dirt.
Ain't no worm dirt.
Worm dirt.
But it's okay. Me and him made a bet. that if I chewed within the next 2 months or whatever, that I owed him $20, or yeah, it was 2 weeks. If I chew within 2 weeks, I owe him $20. But if I go longer than that, he owes me $20. But after I get my $20 and I pick up chewing, I owe him 40. So I'm trying to make a point here not to chew because he still chews, and he's like, "You'll do it eventually." He's like, "I'm you know."
He's getting his payback. That's what he's doing.
He's like, I'm sorry that I don't believe in you, but you've quit how many times now and picked it right back up? But to be honest, it was only like a week after I quit that I started back up. I'm going on like 2 weeks now. And I still haven't picked it up yet, so I'm doing good.
Hey, right on. I got one pet peeve when it comes to chewing either worm dirt or real tobacco. That's this. If you're going to have a spittoon and you go visit somebody, take it with you or throw it away. In my old house that I used to rent, when I'd be cleaning house,
I know where this is going.
when I would clean house, or had the urge, I was a bathroom man, I would run across these spittoons. I mean, I was thankful they, spit in a bottle, But I'm sitting there thinking, really? You want to leave this crap for someone else to clean up? You want to do the habit, but you don't want to clean up after yourself. What the heck? And there was one time I left him sit right there. I was madder than hell every time I saw him. And then one day he came back and I said, "Oh, hey, by the way, you forgot something." But what did I forget? Oh, it's in there on the table over there. Been staring at it for quite a while. You go in there? He would go in there and he would be like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You don't see that bottle full of your worm dirt spit?" He looked down like, "Oh, I'm sorry, cuz I'm real sorry." And like, yeah, now you gonna figure get it this time? Or if not, throw it away. Throw it away, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Boy, after about 20 times of complaining about that crap. And then one of his buddies about done it, and he turned around and jumped on his buddy for trying to leave his spittoon. He's like, "Look," he said, "it's better me jump you instead of my cuz. Believe me, he'll go, on it." I would. All that made me madder than the devil. And then now I'll tell you a funny Copenhagen story. If anybody's ever worked for Pioneer, sometimes, the tasseling. Mom, do you need to take a breather?
Yeah.
Well, folks, I'm going to tell you that funny story some other time. Mom needs to take her breather, and we're kind of in that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages and all kinds, we'd just like to say thank you for watching, hitting like, subscribe. Please share this with everybody, especially your local town bully. You got anything to add?
Don't be a bully. Like I said, like, share, and subscribe. Maybe in the near future I might make me my own videos with Tyson. Yeah, buddy, me and you.
You want to tell them what your channel is?
I already said it earlier in the beginning.
Might as well say it again.
Cade Lash. It's not my real name. Well, the first one's not my real name, but yeah, that's my channel. I got one video on there right now, but get on there, you'll see the comments that this asshole Barry Cates, or however the hell you say his last name. Cates.
I thought it was Cats for the longest time.
Cats, but Cates. He started some smack talking with me, and I made one comment, and he ain't said nothing back again. So hopefully that put an end to that bully. But don't be a bully.
Bully.
Like I said, that Chris Kyle movie. There are 3 types of people in this world: a sheepdog, a sheep, and a wolf. Don't be a wolf.
Mama.
Huh?
Mama will get them if they don't be good.
Exactly. Mom will get them. They don't be good.
I'll pray them.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hitting like, share, subscribe. As always, wherever you're at in this world, thank you for being a fan. May you be blessed wherever you're at in this world.
She said you never texted back yesterday.
I would tell her I was mad from a few conversations back. I didn't have nothing nice to say, so I stayed shut it up. Well, until next time, may y'all be blessed. Have a happy new year. Thank you for joining us in 2018. See ya. Love you, Luna.